Hello, welcome,
Hello, world.
welcome to Top Deck Heroes. Pardon our bumbled entrance. We were talking about how Kevin and I were wheelie bins at the Michigan PTC. We both started off pretty strong, went 3-0 before lunch, and I guess I ate too much food and fell into the wheelie bin bracket.
Yeah, I mean, it's clearly Boston Market's fault for serving us all that chicken and making us bad.
Mm-hmm. So tonight we're gonna follow up on the Michigan PTC rather. Now we're gonna talk about how our wager ended up, things that surprised us, things that weren't too surprising, and then some upcoming events. So we'll let Kevin talk about his experience for the day first.
Yeah, so I played the Void Athena deck with a million assets that it was an iteration on the version I posted on the forums. The idea is you get two assets in play, then you form with Tamayose, and at the top two cards your staging area face down, and then you use the Forester to just like draw through your whole deck. And it was capable of some really explosive plays and also of fizzling out spectacularly. Uh, the best part for me about this event is that they streamed it on Twitch TV and they've posted all the videos on YouTube, so you can actually watch some top level ish play of UFS and see all of the decks that people showed up with. Well, see like nine or 15 or whatever the decks people showed up with.
Speaking of, just
Uh,
real quick, I don't want to interrupt you,
Go
but
ahead.
I just want to thank Matthew McDaniel for putting on that stream for everyone, getting it started. I want to work with him and other people to hopefully set up streams at every major PTC from here on out.
Yeah, I can't shout out to Matt McDaniel enough. He was the MVP of the weekend. He ran a really good event in what could have been a really crowded venue, and it was extremely well run.
Yeah, it was one of the best, maybe even the best PTC we've ever gone to. He put on free pizza, well, not free pizza, but unlimited pizza on Friday night. We went out and played some more hurley ball, which is no longer as good as it was because we've got our own that's better. We had, a great time at the PTC. He made some good judgment calls, such as allowing Andrew Alexa to play Satoshi, seeing as nobody had received the prize support yet, even though the card was supposed to be legal. Answering Luchador's question in the peanut gallery. Um, he got the prizes handed out. Like any UFS tournament, for some reason, things just go really, really slowly as far as people reporting and finishing matches. Other than that, I think it was a great event. So good job.
Yeah, absolutely. I could run on that deck for hours on end. How was your tournament experience?
So my goal this weekend was to get some new inhabitants for Suplex City. I was able to add 3 more permanent residents. I added Jada, Athena, and Ryu. Unfortunately, Felicia found a ball of yarn to chase out of the city. Satoshi just turned into a log and got out of the city. And then Joe hopped on a bus. He got a ride with Terry out of town. So that's how my day went.
Yeah, you were at the top of the tables at the start, but then you dropped out. Did you actually lose all three of your last matches?
I did. I
Oh
started
wow.
off the day. I played reversal water Jada in the first round, which was not that difficult of a match. Um, I was able to commit a lot of things that would cause trouble. I did have to play quite a bit around things like Ophidiophobia, caught red-handed, but I was fortunate that my opponent, I think, used some of those cards a little prematurely,
Mm.
which once I chipped away at the wall, made winning game one relatively easy. In game two, he was digging, 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 just wasn't getting the pieces that he needed.
Yeah, I can imagine Jada's a deck that might struggle actually just counting to 34 through all the damage reduction that your deck played.
Yeah, a lot of times he was getting in for one or none. I don't think I actually resolved a block against him. So
It's brutal.
that was rough. In my second match, I played Brett Hillman, playing the not so cool Void Athena, but still pretty
This
scary.
this the standard-ish build, right? He was playing a lot of copies of Silent Assassin and cheating those into play.
Yeah, I ended up in both games in all 3 games actually, starting off in a not so great position. Um, on his second turn of all 3 games we played, he did play a cycle medley that I could not respond to. There's 8 to the dome.
Straight to the face.
Yep. Game 1, I edged out just barely. Game 2, I think he played like 6 copies of Rain Flush over the course of the game on my throws. And then game 3, he just couldn't get to them, and I sent Athena down to Suplex City, left her in a bad neighborhood. I mean, Jada, at least I got a nice hotel for.
And see, his Athena, she didn't have the assets to take care of herself in Suplex City. You know.
And then round 3, very, very close games against Ryu. The first 2 games, rather, were close. Unfortunately, game 3, because his Ryu deck really doesn't have really good ways to answer my throws except for Kapoken training. And he eventually had a full set of them out, but I tapped him down every turn with Land of the Makai.
That card is I almost want to say underrated, but I feel like, you know, every time I see an Atlanta deck in one of those symbols, it's got like 4 of them just instantly. So maybe it's only underrated in my head.
No, that card was really, really good to me this weekend. Things that were just a problem, especially Ophidiophobia and Kapoken training, weren't.
I think the big reason why people overlook it a bit, especially in certain areas, is that it's a 2/4 no block. Some of those symbols, not a lot of people play on it. Void being the main prominent one. And committing 2 foundations, a lot of people like to play the aggro decks like Gemini Man or Lilith or whatnot. So committing 2 foundations seems like a lot.
Well, I know for my deck, the cards that some of the best cards to stop me from doing my thing are foundations. I know when I first saw the card, I'm like, ugh, this is a bad Roam the World, which technically it is.
It is absolutely a bad Roam the World.
But then I just dismissed it, and I actually had dismissed it until I played it this weekend. I mean, shout-outs to Piglet. I pretty much net decked his deck off of the forums. I swapped out Nailed It's for copies of Hanya. So that was cool. After the lunch break, we went to Boston Market. We had a great time at lunch, and I got paired up against my worst match of the day, which was Never Hopeful Felicia. I knew this was going to happen, especially considering that 7-hand size is popular, Ever Hopeful is popular, and I was 3-0 and Filbert was 2-0-1. So it was a pretty good chance that was... No, he was 3-0 as well.
No, he was 3-0. He rode the top tables all day.
So the first game went pretty much as imagined. All 3 games he had Never Hopeful by turn 2.
That's
in fact,
fun.
two of the games he mulliganed to it because he knew how good it was against a 5-hander. However, I think Kevin can vouch that I did not go on tilt at all against him.
Yeah, I was sitting next to you, and you were both joking around and having a good time while complaining about Ever Hopeful.
Yeah, the card is just not good for the format. I hate it, and we should ban it. So, in game 1 and 3, game 1, he went first, which is really good with a 7-hand size who can bounce your whole staging area to your hand. Game 2, I was able to go first. He didn't see things like Ophidiophobia and friends. So while I was getting Never Hopeful, I was still able to land some moves and eventually get there with a multipled out Gatling attack. Which that card was so good. Game 3, I had the misfortune of checking at 2 on my first turn and having to tap my face in order to continue playing cards. And being tapped as Clark going into Felicia's turn 2 is just not good. And
How bad did he beat? How much did he beat you up on turn 2?
Pretty badly. Because I ended up only being able to play like 1 more card before I failed my turn. So turn 2, he bounced one of my things. He played an attack, bounced one of my things, got Never Hopeful back into play. Played another attack, bounced one of my things. I'm down on 1 foundation. It was just dreadful.
Yeah.
I mean, life total, it wasn't a big hit on turn 2, but my staging area was just wrecked.
Yeah, he was just miles ahead.
Round 4, I played against the fake Satoshi. Round 5, I played against the fake Satoshi.
This is on YouTube, right? You guys, is a feature match?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kevin was talking. We were talking about that match a little bit before the stream started, and Kevin thinks I may have attacked a little prematurely. And
I think you went a little bit too ham.
Yeah,
Considering the staging area.
I was really trying to get Andrew Alexa to play off his rain flushes, so I could not rain flushes, leaf shields, so I could not deal with them because I dealt with them all of game one, and he just got attacks faster than I got attacks. Game two, pretty sure I was going to kill him on the next turn, but his last turn took a while, and time was called with Andrew being up a game, which was kind of unfortunate. In the final round, I played against my adorable friend, Tim Keefe. He was playing Joe, and we spent the whole time fighting over Kapokan training. It was a good time. I won the first game. Game two, I put him down to like 1 or 2 vitality. It went into his turn. He attacked me like 8 times. I drew 7 cards and just bricked. In 7 draws, got no attacks that I needed to kill him. And then game 3, I just couldn't get cooking. Bad checks, bad draws. I know game 3, I mulliganed a hand with 3 attacks to draw a hand with 4.
Oh god, that's brutal.
It was rough.
So you could say that. I mean, two of your 3 losses. I mean, you had one and done loss where you just got pumped by Andrew Alexa, and then he just kind of sat there and stared at you. And then the other 2 of yours, you had bad luck, bad 5 hand size of luck. I think that's a little worse than you'd expect to, but that's one of the prices you pay for picking the lower hand sizes. That you have, your bad hands, your bad draws look really awful.
Yeah. And my good draws just still don't feel as good as if I was a 6 or 7 hander.
Hey man, you can say that, but how many times have you plopped an Ultra Clark Buster on the table and then just said you're dead, and they're like, yeah, I'm really dead.
It happened. That's how I got Phil Birch. Was the momentum I spent on Ultra Clark Buster was enough to put him down to 1 vitality through a Templar block.
Yeah.
Because he took 6 damage from the Clark Buster and then an additional 8 from
having his board tapped. Yeah.
From having his board tapped. So that was kind of cool.
Pretty gross. It's pretty gross.
It's pretty awesome.
That's the payback you get for having 34 vitality and tapping their board down.
All said and done, I mean, at the end of the weekend, I think that 7 hand size, I think, is very good right now.
Oh, clearly.
6s who have ways to cheat additional cards into the hand are even better.
And
being you think we're back at the
the thing that reminds me of 6-handers being able to cheat cards in their hand is the deck that ended up winning the whole thing, and that was Kim.
Yeah, so when you say 6 hand sizes that cheat cards into their hand, I think of the old Phil Birch K-Vespera metagame, where Kim was like a player in that too. Do you think that there's a lot of, good decks that are just abusing their characters' card draw abilities like it was back then?
No, I don't think it's nearly as bad. Of the 6-handers I played over the weekend, I played against Jada, who got to cheat his reversals back into his hand on his turn.
Mm-hmm.
I played against... I didn't play against Kim.
Right.
Kim ended up winning, and he got to put his kicks back into his hand always. Other than that, I mean, I played Ryu, and his hand manipulation's kind of a whole different beast. I mean,
yeah,
the moves get big enough even to scare Clark a little bit.
Yeah, I imagine that's a really interesting matchup because if he goes, he plays an attack, do you want to take 1 or do you want to block it? Because if you block it, what if he plays a rain flush and has it deal 10 +5/+6 on it?
Well, fortunately, he did play a rain flush on me at one point, and I activated Orders from Hydern on the attack that he played at the start of the turn and could no longer pay his multiple cost. So that was pretty fortunate. And game 2 or 3 against him, I put a Hanya into play, which increases the difficulty of his moves by 1 as long as it's an unblocked attack. And I think the Ryu deck runs on assuming you're going to check 5s because you're putting 5s from your hand into your...
Yeah.
That's why you put 6s in the deck.
Yeah. That's an option.
That's an option. I mean, you don't always have 6s in your hand. And so tapping his board and then putting him on 6 for the rest of the day made his game plan a lot worse.
Yeah, it slows down quite a bit. Actually, I have a list of the characters that I played against, if you guys want to hear that too.
Sure.
The Void Athena deck. The first round, I actually got paired with the reigning world champion playing the amazingly S tier character named Yuri. And it was actually a really interesting match. I feel like I had a big advantage because my deck has this explosive resource advantage, and so I would always have more cards in play than him, just because of Athena's ability, pretending and just having more hand size. But he had a lot of curse splat reversals, and he was tutoring up Templars, and Shiranui no Mai was his big payoff. He had only one copy in his deck, but as soon as you played 2 non-foundation cards, if he had managed to touch you to get the fire symbol, then he could search his deck for Shiranui no Mai and close the game out that way. So that was actually, I thought it was a really interesting deck. And there's a funny thing that happened in game 3. I went first and played 2 assets, which triggers Yuri's ability. And so he searches his deck for Sunny New Look, which means that if I don't attack him on my next turn, he'll get to be at full life and draw an extra card from it. And he ended up doing that. But I was like, wow, I never even thought of Sunny New Look in Yuri, which is kind of obvious because it's her card and all. But
It's got her picture on it.
he looks at his hand of 7 cards and he puts a Peaceful Messenger into his discard pile for his review step. And can you tell me what's wrong with that picture?
Well, if he already has 7 cards and he reviews one, then he's just -1 card.
He's at 6 cards for his hand size, yeah. And
Oops.
so I start laughing. I say, I'm going to hold you to that, but you just reviewed a card you totally didn't need to review. And I was dying at that point. Then he plays another Peaceful Messenger and spams out 4 cards and actually has a pretty good turn 1. But I managed to win that one. Then my next 2 rounds were actually both covered on feature matches. I got paired with Jeremy Ray, another world champion, who's playing all Yellow Devil with the Trinity Geyseriest of the Trinity Geysers. And you can watch the match. It was pretty impressive watching me stumble through my game 2 because I had no business winning that game, as I forgot repeatedly to use I activated an ultimate undead, which lets me discard a card and then draw a card every time I play an attack, and I just didn't do it once the entire turn on the end.
Oops.
So I was getting upset because I couldn't find the Tamiyose, and I had Tamiyose in my staging area, and I was trying to find a Shopaholic, and I couldn't find one of those either, and I was just really frustrated. And I think that was clouding my mind, and I couldn't figure out what the actual best plays were because I was just tunnel vision not getting the Tamiyose out of my staging area. But in the end, he checked a 2 on his block after he declined to use getting a ride on it because he needed to check not a 2 to block, and then I'd have been completely out of gas and my turn would have been over. But you can watch that in living color and check that out. Then I played with Nick Markey's Water Skullman, which is a really, really interesting take on the deck. I had played against it at Worlds.
That was also a featured match.
It was also a featured match, and the special thing about this deck is that it attacks you forever. It never stops attacking you. In game 3, you can actually see he played a self-destruct on turn 4, and this is a Water Skullman deck. Remember, it is entirely water except for self-destruct. Then the next turn, he played 3 attacks, and I slapped him around a little bit after after he self-destructed. I took a turn to build. He slapped me around. I blocked. Then he played 4 more attacks the turn after that. And I hadn't killed him yet because Athena, my deck needs a little bit of setup. It's all 5 and 6 difficulty attacks pretty much, so I can't really just kill you with no staging area. And by the end of his Shiranui no Mai attack turn, on 1 foundation, 1 face down from self-destruct, time was called. And so that match ended up being a draw, but it was really exciting. We played 3 full games, and I actually had ripped, I'd drawn into a high block off of his Skullman 4+ ability. And so if it had been something else, I would have been, they had been a little bit less lucky, but I mean, things went both of our ways throughout that match. Then I got paired in round 4 at 201 with the eventual champion, Daniel Hughes' Kim. I was gonna call him Daniel Tyler. That's not the right person at all. And I kind of won a lot. I managed to throw enough breaker at him that he wouldn't have his kills, and then I beat him up with my attacks, and it was pretty straightforward from there. Then in my last 2 rounds, I actually got paired with 2 decks that top-aided, which is kind of understandable because I was undefeated after round 4. and managed to lose both of them. I got paired with Air Felicia by Phil Birch.
Never hopeful.
Yeah, and actually, I hadn't thought Ever Hopeful was going to be terribly good against my deck, but he had both Ever Hopeful and Hatred of Autumn. And while my deck doesn't have very many foundations, the foundations it does have are actually very valuable to the game plan. So I know in Game 3, he successfully prevented me from playing more than one Deforester Enhance on any turn. And so I ran on foundations and just couldn't get there. I think that there were certainly. I wish those games had been recorded because I think it'd be very interesting to go back and watch them and find where I could have improved. Because all three games went pretty long, and I had the opportunity to kind of dictate the pace of things, and took it slow-ish. Didn't really pressure him with attacks, and maybe I could have done better if I'd had more pressure on him earlier or something. And then the final round, I got paired with Iori. In the first game, I stumbled over my attacks a little bit too much, and eventually he just punched me in the face and I died. And then in the second game, in the first game he had powerful assassins and Ophidophobias that were a bit too much for me to easily get past on offense. And then in the second game he just killed me on turn 3, despite blocking with an anti-throw block to keep a card in his card pool, then blocking with a Team K dash. And then he had to play Foundation to clear the breaker, and then he played 3 more attacks and killed me. And if he had he checked, he made 4 control checks that turn against difficulty of more than 3, and he had to check 2 more 3s to fail his turn, to fail his control checks, despite me kicking a card into his card pool and then also breaker 2ing him. Which is why I hate Iori. That guy's an asshole. But so I ended up 3-2-1. It's good for last place. But I had a great time. My deck was really sweet.
I had fun playing Clark. I just didn't like the Never Hopeful match. That was just really annoying. And I mean, it's not as bad as I thought it would be, but it's still bad enough that I think that 5 hand size just I don't think you can. It's just almost an unwinnable matchup.
And Phil Birch is a really good player. Phil Birch has a really well tuned Felicia deck. And he doesn't play it like everybody else. I mean, I think that there's aggro Felicias that you would just kind of sit on. His deck has a lot of damage output once it stares at you for a little while.
Yeah, it wasn't like a bunch of dinky moves. They were all big moves like Gemini Slam and shit like that.
And yeah, in the top 8, I think exactly half of the top 8 actually only played Ever Hopeful.
The half that won.
No. The 2 of the decks that got knocked out in the first round were Ever Hopeful. Lilith and Air Jiffany Jamber both got eliminated with Ever Hopeful. And then first and second place were both the 2 remaining Ever Hopeful decks, to be fair.
No, second place was Iori.
Second place was Iori.
Oh, was it really? I'm retarded.
You were there, and I know this.
So speaking of the top 8, let's talk about our wager from last week.
Yeah, we did terrible.
We did not do good. So if we remember from last week, all 5 of us agreed on we had to guess the top 8. We agreed on 5 decks that would make top 8. The 3 of us did. We thought that Clark would make it, which he did not.
We thought Athena would make it, and this wasn't us just sucking at our own dicks, by the way. I mean, I knew Brett Hellman was showing up with Athena, and then Sean beat his face in. Regardless.
Let's see. We had Athena and Clark. They missed. We wagered. We all thought that Lilith would get in, which she did.
Yep.
So that was one.
Skullman would get in.
No, we didn't think Skullman.
Only you did.
Oh shit! No, you're right. You're right. That was me.
We thought that. Geez, I can't remember right now.
Gemini Man was one.
Gemini Man, which did he make it? I don't think he made it.
No, he didn't make it.
Nope.
It was Joe Horth playing Gemini Man. That was the only Gemini Man that showed up, which
Well,
is unusual.
That's why nobody made it, was because Joe Horth played it.
I'm annoyed at myself because I knew Tim was going, so I should have said Joe. Because he had told me he was going to play Joe.
If you think Tim's range is that small, okay.
So, long story short, we had a tie for the people who came in last place on deck guessing ability, and that was Matt Hughes and Kevin Broberg.
Yep, so Sean got, the one freebie with Lilith, and then compared to all of the rest of us, you had Jiffany Jamber and Iori. Is that right?
That's correct. Snake Man did not even show up for the event.
Yep. And I had guessed that we would have a Lilith deck, oh god, a Skullman deck, and some other character I forgot already.
Felicia.
Wait.
Oh yeah. No,
What
yeah.
is-
My three choices were Felicia, Skullman, and Heisenko. And I'm not sure anyone showed up with Heisenko.
Wait, Sean,
then-
what did you get on your list that made it so you're not tied with us as well?
Iori and Jiffany.
Iori and Jiffany Jamber.
Oh, well, I had Jiffany as well.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
had
and then you
Jiffany,
chose two
then
other
you had
5
Clark
hitters who
and
didn't
Jeremy
show up.
Ray.
You had Goro and Jeremy Ray.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right.
So, the community has spoken, and you gentlemen, as losers of the wager, must play Billy Kane this Friday.
Heck yeah. I'm excited. Are you excited, Matt?
Well, I get to make my friend
You don't
Josh
sound excited.
happy. Because ever
Why
since
aren't
I
you excited?
told Josh how awful Billy is, he took it as a challenge. So the second he heard about this, he voted for Billy. And when Billy won, was so excited because I'm going to run his copy of Billy. I'm going to, like, he built a deck. He thinks it's the best Billy deck that's out there.
And you're going to run his Billy deck?
Yep.
Great.
Kevin Broberg, build a Billy deck and whoop Hughes' ass.
Look at this. This is Matt Hughes, kid. He's not going to build his deck when he loses the challenge. It's a damn shame.
I'm building 7 other decks tomorrow. I'm building stuff to get ready for Poughkeepsie and the 2K. So, I'm letting Josh hand me Billy.
So
Do you know what kind of Billy it is? So I don't build the same thing you do.
I believe it's a Chaos deck.
Interesting.
what symbol are you going to build Billy off of, Kevin Broberg?
I was gonna do a Chaos deck. I think Chaos. Like I really like. I was gonna build an evil deck, and then it's like I read the card of Phidiaphobia. I'm like, if I play a throw and they Phidiaphobia it, then I play another throw. They pick up their Phidiaphobia, and I'm just like, oh god, this is just not what I want to do with my life.
Oh, wow. Well, I don't have to play Billy Kane this weekend, so that's nice.
You gonna show up with Clark?
No, not with 2 Billy Kanes. Are you kidding? That's
Hey man, dude, you enhance with always watching. I'm just like, oh god, my deck deals 0 damage now. What is my life?
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna. I don't think I'm gonna play Clark with Never Hopeful, the character plus Never Hopeful. Seems bad for my evening.
So what are you gonna play? Have you decided?
Not at all. I could play one of the decks that I was planning to play before I autoed to Clark. I was thinking about either before Clark. I was considering Ringman or Yellow Devil for Michigan. Which, fortunately, Jeremy Ray got to lose with Yellow Devil instead of me.
Hey man, yeah, that's great.
He won a team asset.
Yeah. He beat Bishamon in the finals. Like beating Bishamon's a high bar a high bar to hurdle over.
So, I mean, to wrap up on the Michigan PTC, a good time. Mac McDaniel, I want to work with him on organized play and coverage in the future. I think that was great for the game, having some matches featured. People, I think, more than any other time up until now, had a good idea as to what was happening in Michigan. So, all in all, really good.
We should make sure that we have internet at our 2Ks. That way we can do that.
Yeah, that's going to be kind of hard. We are in a park.
Oh.
Yeah. We can record matches and post them on YouTube afterward, though. I think that's a perfectly valid solution.
Yeah, that's probably our option.
I can do that.
Let's see. I think that wraps up our Michigan coverage and pretty much everything we had planned to talk about tonight. Let's get into our announcements. Coming up, we got some events. October 24th, a little under a month away. We're going to be heading to Poughkeepsie for their PTC at Champion Card.
Sorry.
I feel like a professor. Whose cell phone? We're playing at Champion Card Games in Poughkeepsie, New York. Very excited to go there. We'll see if Poughkeepsie's ever able to defend their hometown against the horrible evilness of Kevin Broberg. I think he wins pretty much every time we go there.
I'm training them to get better.
You're training.
Did I win?
Didn't you win the last PTC?
I'm pretty. Yeah, I think I did. I won with K-Dash last year, which I can't believe. Was it last year? Or
No,
was
it was
it
2
the year
years ago.
before? What did I do last year?
Just this past year, I don't remember what you last won with.
But we'll see if Kevin can win Poughkeepsie again here this October.
What were we even playing? What had been released?
Nobody remembers.
This was
All right.
2 weeks before Worlds or something like that, or a month before Worlds, I think. Because ours was 2 weeks before Worlds. Wasn't there a Poughkeepsie PTC in the spring?
Don't remember. Moving on. Let's see. After the Poughkeepsie PTC, if you want to head up to the Frozen North for the Halloween PTC in Winnipeg on October 31st. That's only a week after the fun time in Poughkeepsie. Just 1 week later is the Rochester 2K. Hughes, put up the image of the playmat that everybody's going to get for entering.
It's up. It's beautiful.
Ooh.
Also, you guys won the team event. That's what it was there.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the team event at the bowling alley.
Yep.
So anybody who attends the Rochester CCG 2K is going to get that exclusive playmat. It's very pretty, very exclusive to the event. So you guys should show up. We're going to be announcing on next week's show an additional tournament exclusive. So be sure to listen in next week and get yourself ready to go to that event. Remember, we're going to have some beer that's free. There's going to be card games to be had. Sunday, we're probably going to do some sort of side event. I'm hoping for a turbo qualifier. So
That way Jeff can win again.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's going to be a good time. If you haven't made arrangements to be at the 2K, please do. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's UFS's first 2K ever. And
help us prove it will work.
Exactly. Now, this is a very busy couple weeks for UFS because 1 week following the Rochester 2K is the Rockford PTC out in Illinois. That's going to be, I believe it's at Dizzy Dugout again.
I believe.
The most important thing about Chicago is the pizza. That alone is worth the trip. So
That's a good point.
Go on out, help them out in Illinois, fill that game star up, and try to win. After the Rockford PTC is Nashville PTC in December on the 12th in Nashville, Tennessee. So head on down south of the Mason-Dixon line, get some good barbecue, and win that plane ticket. Allegedly, sometime in the future, there's going to be Worlds in Las Vegas. Nobody knows when, where, or how. Hopefully, if it's going to be in the early part of next year, that gets announced pretty soon, because lots of people got to buy plane tickets.
Yeah.
That pretty much wraps things up, I think, for tonight. Does anybody else have any final thoughts before we call it an evening?
Yeah, give me a Satoshi.
Well, you'll have to come in first or second place this weekend.
Yeah, that's not happening.
And
you know that.
Not with that attitude.
Yeah, that's a shitty attitude.
Billy!
It's UFS.
It's Billy.
Just play better than Sonic.
I have to play better than a lot of you.
Maybe everybody will give you a win for feeling sorry that you had to play Billy.
Yeah, no, you're gonna stomp my face into the ground.
I'll take it. All right, UFS land, that's it for this week. We will see you next week for the Billy wrap-up and talk about some sort of thing going on. Have a good night, everybody.
Night, everyone.